Like most photographers, I like to bring my camera with me wherever I go, and this can be on days out with the friends and family, on work trips, and also just capture behind the scenes photos on professional shoots that I'm working on. Either way, I like to have something that can capture really high quality photos rather than just relying on my iPhone for general day-to-day documentation. So with this in mind, I wanted to find a small lightweight camera that produced fantastic stills and didn't cost the price of a small house. So in this video, I'll be talking about the camera that I chose for my everyday carry and why it's more suitable than my bigger, more advanced cameras that I use every day for my professional work. Firstly, let me just take a minute to tell you about the cameras that I already have and use on a daily basis. As most people who are familiar with this channel will know, I predominantly use the Panasonic S5 and sometimes the S1 for all of my professional work. They're both highly advanced full-frame cameras that have excellent colours and excellent dynamic range, making them perfect for my professional corporate shoots. However, when I'm out and about shooting photos with my friends and family or getting behind the scenes of my professional shoots, I don't really have to spend time going through and post-processing those images, so therefore I don't really want to use a raw workflow or much rather shoot JPEG. And while the Panasonic S1 and S5 produce absolutely amazing JPEGs, they're not as stylised and filmic as I want them to look. Instead, they look too clean and too polished for something that I want to look a little bit more rough around the edges. So this is where my Fuji XT3 comes into play, and this has been my fun camera for the last year or so. I have been using this camera with the Fuji 16-55 f2.8 lens, which honestly is one of the best lenses you can get for the X mount system. And to be honest, this setup has been pretty great for my weekend shooting, and I've taken loads of really nice images with it. The only issue is that it's sort of overkill for what I'm using it for, since I don't really use the Fuji XT3 and the 16-55 for any of my paid work, since the Panasonic S5 has all those bases covered for me already. So, since the Panasonic S5, the Fuji XT3 and the Panasonic S1 are complete overkill for some harmless weekend snaps, I decided to opt for this. The Fuji X100F in silver because it looks retro as fuck. The Fuji X100F seems to be the perfect option for me since it's the perfect balance between size, portability, quality and price. Since it's classed as a point and shoot camera as well, it has a fixed 23mm lens which is equivalent to a 35mm lens on the APS-C sensor. It houses all of the film simulation magic that I have in the XT3, just with a much smaller form factor and less dials. There is a newer version of this camera that was released in 2020, which is the X100V, but the X100F is good enough for me, and I was able to pick it up for less than £650. I've taken this camera out of me recently on a few days out, and I've got to say, it's extremely impressive, even in 2021. I'm only shooting in JPEG with this camera, since I don't really plan on tampering with any of the images, and just want them on my phone for sharing on Instagram or with my friends. But even without any real editing, the photos that this camera is able to produce are absolutely stunning. While I'm out and about though, I do also like to capture some short video clips from time to time, and I didn't want to have to compromise on the small lightweight form factor that I found inside the X100F. So that's where my old friend comes in from my gear cupboard, and that is the DJI Osmo Pocket. This little thing shoots 4K up to 60 frames a second and is small enough to fit in your pocket, hence the name. The Fuji X100F unfortunately is limited to 1080p at 60 frames a second, which is fine considering it's mainly a stills camera, but nowadays 1080p looks like it was filmed on a potato. So this way, with this setup, I'm able to shoot both high quality photo and high quality video while keeping the size to a minimum. I've actually surprisingly found this combo more freeing as well, since I don't feel like I'm being looked at when I'm using them when I'm walking out and about. And to be honest, most of the time the DJI Osmo Pocket and the Fuji X100F go quite unnoticed. To wrap things up, I think it's really important to remember that the best camera is the one that you have with you at all times. So therefore, having a small, portable and lightweight camera body can be really useful for those days where you just want to be a hobbyist again, rather than sweating it out and bringing all of your high-end gear. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it somewhat entertaining, useful or informative, and if you did, then please consider subscribing to the channel because it helps me out massively, and hopefully I shall see you in the next one. Thank you.